We are on Masechet Zavim, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Vav, 6th Mishnah, in the first chapter of Masechet Zavim. So we are talking about Riyot and Yamim. So remember we said that you have to have 3 Riyot on 3 consecutive days. Let's just go back to our word chart. We're going to go back to our word chart quite a bit here. We said if you have a Riyah 1, 2, and 3, okay, or you have 3 in a row or whatever, then you become a Zav Gamor. But if you skip a day in the middle, then you start over. So now the question is, what happens if our Mishnah is going to talk about what's called Bein Hashmashot. The Bein Hashmashot has been expanded here. You'll see in a second. This is Friday and this is Shabbat. And so in between Friday and Shabbat, we know there's this period of time between sunset and nightfall. And I've made it much longer than it needs to be here for illustrative purposes. But what happens if you have a Re'iyah here? The problem is it's Safek Yom, Safek Laila. It might be day, it might be night. So how do we treat it? Do we treat it like a day? Do we treat it like a night? Do we treat it like an interruption of day and night in between? That's going to be the topic of the discussion of our Mishnah. Let's go back to the Mishnah. Achat hayom ve'achat bein hashmashot. If you see one re'iyah during the day and then one bein hashmashot, or achat bein hashmashot ve'achat lemachar, or one bein hashmashot and then the first one is bein hashmashot and one the next day, then im yadua shemiktzat hariyah mehayom umiktzata lemachar. Vadai the korban uletuma. If you know, like that the re'iyah you saw was partially during the day, from one day and partially for tomorrow, what Bartanura says, Shira'ak tzat re'iyah besof hayom, uksata betchilat halayla shel machar. If it was a long re'iyah that was long enough that was not long enough, he says, interestingly, if it was long enough to be 2, that would be fine. But if it wasn't long enough to be 2, nonetheless, still, it's still considered 2. Remember we said that it's now 1 re'iyah on 2 days. Let's go back to let's try to figure out. So if you knew that your re'iyah was here, and part of the re'iyah was during the day, and part was night. Now, I'm not entirely sure how this is at all possible, because the whole point of Bein Hashmashot is you don't know which is which and when it is. But if you had it exactly here, so if you saw, I'm going to move this guy for a second, you saw a re'iyah on Friday, and then you saw one here, and it's half in the day and half in the night. So it's considered 2 re'iyot, the Mishnah says. It's considered 2 separate re'iyot, and therefore, vadai lekorban uletuma. Then he's considered like a zav gamor, and he's vadai for tuma, and also to bring a korban. Why? Let's just go back to our illustration. This is 1, and this one is considered a double because it's considered yom and laila of 2 days. That's what the Mishnah says. That's what they learn from the Psukim. I don't know how you would know that, especially they didn't have clocks then. How would you know if it's Yom and Laila? I don't really know. It's unclear to me how you would know. Okay, why Vada la Korban Tuma? Dieshkan Shalosh Riyot is considered like 3. Deotasha Bein Hashmashot nechaleket l'shtayim. The one of Bein Hashmashot is divided into 2 because it's Kevan Diesh Mishnei Yamim. It has 2 days. But Im safek shemiksata riyah mehayom umiksata lemachar. If you're not sure about whether it was today or tomorrow, then vada letuma, then for sure you have 2 re'iyot. But safek lekorban, it's a safek whether you bring a korban because it's safek because you don't know. Maybe it's 2 and maybe it's 3. Now ra'ash neyamim bein hashmashot, then safek letuma ulekorban. If you saw 2 days in a row, Bein Hashmashot, let's go back to our chart. I moved that guy, but really you have 2 days Bein Hashmashot. And the problem with Bein Hashmashot is you don't really know where you are. Are you in the night or the day? And we're going to see the Bartanura exactly what he's describing. So you have 2 Bein Hashmashot in a row, right? So then it's a suffix for Tuma, whether even Tame at all, and suffix whether you have to bring a Korban. The Bartanura will explain. Why? Kagon. The Rishona b'tchila Bein Hashmashot. If you saw Shnei Yamim Bein Hashmashot in the first day, right, Bein Hashmashot. V'shniya Bein Hashmashot Sheni, and the second one is between the second Bein Hashmashot. Kagon ha'achad be'erev Shabbat b'tchilat Bein Hashmashot, v'achad b'otzev Shabbat b'sof Bein Hashmashot. He says, if you saw one you saw at the beginning of Bein Hashmashot and one you saw at the end of Bein Hashmashot. Okay, so therefore now you're really up the creek. Is this connected to Friday? And this is connected to Sunday, like the day afterwards, and there's a whole day in between, therefore it's nothing. That's what the Bartanura says. Or, since Im Tchilat Bein Hashmashot Yom, if the beginning of Bein Hashmashot is the day before, V'so Bein Hashmashot Lai, and the end is the night, En kan shtei re'iyot b'shnei yamim tzuvim. They're only going to have 2 days in a row. But the Bein Hashmashot kulo min hayom or kulo min halayla, if it's all the same day or night. Let's go back to our chart. If it's all the same, the whole Bein Hashmashot is one big thing. Then you have two consecutive days. Correct? You have 2 consecutive days. So therefore, you'd be tameh. Meaning, if this is day and this is night, then you don't even have 2 consecutive days, then you're tahor. If these are both the same, all the same, then you have 2 consecutive days, and therefore you're just tameh. Okay? But what if we're not true? It's all a safek. Then it's possible, the Baratunah says, that this is half and half. The whole thing is half and half, and therefore this is 2, and then that would be 3, and then you'd be a zav gamor. He says, I hope the illustration helps. It helped for me, but I don't know if it helps for you. Therefore, the Mishnah says in that case, therefore safek letuma, maybe you're tameh, and safek korban, maybe you're korban. So the halacha would be, if it's safek korban, you'd bring the korban but not eat it. Achad bein hashmashot. If you only had one bein hashmashot, safek letuma, because remember, we're not sure if it's maybe 1 or 2 re'iyot. Maybe there's a 1 day or 2 days, and therefore it's a safek, and you have to do shiva nikiya mi safek. All right, we'll stop here. Dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.